Thank you all for coming and coming out here to Westmoreland. Oh, there's a. We do have some agendas if somebody needs them. Yes, Doctor, do you want to introduce yourselves? Well, you have pizza in your mouth?
Sure. So this is actually the Special Education Administrative Team. I'm Dr. Annie Galaxy, the Associate Director of Special Education.
I'm Justin Braidlaw, principal over here at Lane School in Transitions Program.
I'm Brittany Spencer, Special Education Administrator. I'm Savannah Ferguson, also Administrator.
Jared Norris, also special education.
Thank you for your program tonight. Thank you for hosting us tonight. The pizza was great. Rose, you want to do the land acknowledgement?
Sure. It's written right here. So, Lane ESD acknowledges that the lands that we call Lane County, the lands that sustain our children, our future, and our collective well-being, are the traditional ancestral home of the Kalapuya, Siuslaw, Malala, and other indigenous people who have lived in Lane County since time immemorial. Native children, families, and communities bear witness to a legacy of displacement and forced relocation. As an educational institution, we are accountable for addressing the current and formal silencing, erasure, and genocide of Native people in Oregon and in Turtle Island. We aim to join with Indigenous people, honoring their resilience, courage, and self-determination in a purposeful pursuit of justice. Today, Indigenous people, alive, diverse, and vibrant, live in and contribute to the culture of Lake County. We are all blessed by their presence. We commit to support our own Lane ESD staff and student learning about Indigenous peoples in Oregon, the history, culture, and current concerns, and the role of educational institutions in the genocide of Native and Indigenous peoples and tribes, and in the possibilities for repair and justice. As an ESD, we will support and encourage the implementation of tribal history, shared history curriculum with all our educational partners. The board also commits to building relationships that will help us understand the lived experiences of our Native students, families, and communities, and how LESD impacts our students in collaboration with the superintendent. The board will review and update the spoken statement of land acknowledgement annually during our annual organizational meeting or when needed.
Thank you, Rose. Agenda review? No.
I just want to note that I don't believe the minutes are actually attached to the agenda, so I don't think we could actually approve them.
Come on, Rose.
Sorry.
Have faith.
No, that's accurate. So we'll catch up at the July meeting. No, it's attached. I think we have one thing on that, so you didn't have a chance to review.
So take off April and May from the agenda, on consent agenda. Okay.
Is there an HR report attached?
There is, I believe, hold on, there should have been. Wait.
As of about 2:00 it was.
So then I would simply request
You
that
know,
we.
you're gonna get a low grade for this.
I know.
You're not a very good
I
board
thought I
secretary.
got-
Okay, well, I make a motion, we increase his administrative support salary. He's doing 2 jobs.
So I think we should just take off the consent agenda.
No, we need to add it back. We need to move it. So I'm gonna need to figure out how to add it.
The HR report.
I do need to add it.
I'll upload that.
You got it? Okay. Olivia will upload it to the board book here. In the meantime, there's some other changes though that are on the agenda. I want to make sure that you know, because what was sent out Friday had a little slightly different, some different action on here then. One item that was on Fridays, if you reviewed it, was for you to take some action regarding instruction calendars for the upcoming school year. That has been removed. We have a new calendar that we're still working on today, and I think that they're ready to go. But as of little after 4 o'clock, I just want to make sure 100% sure it's something we can still move in July and not any time on. We will be informing our employees of the calendar that they're are falling prior to the end of the school year. But that's not exactly what the calendars that were supposed to be on this agenda. These were instructions. Think about the time we looked at, let's say, Lanesville for an issue a couple of years ago with the instruction hours. So that will be added to the July 29th school year, so you have the instruction hours. Yeah.
The HR report is there now.
Okay, thanks. The other thing I want to say is that what's been added since Friday, and I sent you an email today, is a sole procurement action item that I will discuss or give you more detail on when we get to that point. In section 9, I think it's 9H or I, 9I. And if you're in the computer on board book, if you refresh board book, you can see the HR report.
No, H is, policy recommendation.
It just, it would be I.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay, those are the changes.
Okay, go over them again.
So they should be on there, but if you have Fridays, there's no more instructional calendars. In
Okay, so
section
we take
9,
those off.
and you now have 9I.
Okay,
But what you have in front of you?
which is the human resources report. Right.
No, that's the consent agenda 9A. That's there. Yeah, those are in the consent. Those are in the HR.
Okay, it's in the H.
In the HR,
Okay.
Okay,
which is there. What do you got?
I got it, yeah,
Okay.
that's the only one with a computer though, so.
Oh,
Well, in the last
Laura,
meeting. But we can just
so
review.
Tony, just keep your chair, you know, 'cause I
Okay,
don't have my computer either, so just poking around anything.
okay, that's fine. I see the IJ.
Okay. Okay. We've done agenda review. So we're going to have a public hearing for the 25-26 approved budget. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Okay. We have the presentation now for special ed.
What about accepting the financial report?
I think we have after our presentation.
Oh, okay, that's not how it is from the start.
Right down on 8, are we moving it up?
hold on. Guys, I apologize. Let me take a look. I might need to change something.
Am I right?
Hold on. Let me.
We're on 8.
Yeah.
We're on 8.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah, sorry about all the confusion on this. This is my fault again.
So I had planned to introduce our team, they have already introduced themselves, so I'm gonna have them come on up, and Brandon, if you can pull our presentation up for us. We are doing a Lane School review, since we are on the beautiful Lane School Westmoreland campus, and then an overview of each of the areas that our department supports, so there's little snippets of each part of our programming. And my team here is here to speak to the programs they oversee directly.
All right, I'll take up first. Correctly. Don't have a clicker, so I'm gonna just point at Brandon. Is that the trick?
Sounds good.
Okay, let's go ahead and,
Don't run.
all right, won't throw anything at you. So my section, when we first were talking about presenting to the board, it was gonna be Westmoreland, so I think what wound up happening is I created way more slides than the rest of my colleagues. But I wanted to give you guys an update on our improvement plan and where we're at with both Lane School and transitions. And so Lane School, our goal was that student outcomes data would be at or above the outcomes data average from the last 4 years. We had a pretty substantial dip last year. And we were trying to address that concern and get us back on track. The captioning is covering up all the data for you. But really the data points improved in every category except phase advancement. There's some ways I can explain that, but we had about a 20% decrease in our phase advancement, but we had a 33% increase in our students reaching a send-off, which means that they've worked all the way through our program. We had 100% increase in our graduation this year, and we had the failed placement, number of failed placements decreased by 33% this year. So overall,
Those are
pretty
great
good
achievements.
data improvement for the Lane School team. Want to go to the next one?
What does phase advancement mean?
So phase advancement, Lane School is built in for, 4-phase system. Students come in phase 1, which is that introductory phase. Then they move to phase 2, which is the learning phase. Phase 3, which is generalization of the skills phase. And then phase 4 is that transition phase where we're helping them transition back to their home district. Next slide. All right, so there's a couple of ways that we've been targeting this goal. One is our CPS implementation process. At this point, CPS, all staff have been trained in a 2-day CPS intensive training. It is required for all staff and any new staff coming in, just jump into the next opportunity for that training. Along with that, we have a 1-day refresher that our staff are doing each year. Next slide. Behavior consultants, jumping. Behavior consultants serve as that on-site expert. We have 3 behavior consultants that are trainers and are providing training not only to our team here at Lane School, but they're providing opportunities for our component districts to jump into trainings. They offer 2 trainings a year for tier 1 training and then 1 additional intro training to our component districts. Next year, I think the ask from our districts is even more, that they're going to be, I think, supporting a training in Bethel School District and 1 other district. I'm drawing a blank on it right now. Staff engage in the CPS process. We use a data teams process that they meet weekly to review student data and performance and how they're, what lagging skills we need to address as we grow. Next slide. All that I already talked about the monthly meetings just a minute ago. This little graphic that you can't actually read is that assessment that our team has worked with CPS to develop and adapt to be a Lane School tool. And that intervention really has reached a point of its development that we are considering it at a point that it's implemented at this point. And we need to, the work that we're needing to do now is more maintenance level support and continuing to grow and get stronger in that implementation, but really it's across our entire program. You will see elements of the CPS model, 5 cameras in the office throughout the program. So, next slide. What this has resulted in for the CPS implementation, our behavior incidence data is down 40% this year. So from last year to this year, we have a 40% decrease in student behavior on at Lane School. Failed placements, like I said, it's down 33%, and students I had to take a minute to remember what's behind that. Are confident in that CPS model. We even have students that can lead the conversation now.
Yeah.
They've been doing it long enough with us that they can jump in and lead the conversation. They don't need an adult to help them walk through the process. They really can actually walk through it on their own, which is really awesome to see students leading that. Next slide. And this, I was just pulling some data. We did a survey with our staff on the implementation of CPS and their satisfaction with it and how they feel it's affected our community. Just pulled a few of the data points that stood out to me. That I feel like I'm part of a healthy school community. Over 90% agree with that statement of my staff up here. I feel supported by my colleagues. 100% of the staff agreed with that statement. Learning collaborative problem solving practices aligned with the philosophy of kids do well if they can has helped me be more compassionate with when students demonstrate behaviors. That one, almost 90% agree with that statement. And then the last one I put up there was that when working in special education can be challenging. I have noticed, help me out here. Top right corner.
Yeah, I've got things.
Oh, dang it.
I've noticed an improvement in my overall wellness related to working with students with school implemented collaborative problems.
Yeah, and that one has a 70% agreement. So just really some solid cultural pieces that my staff feel that this has had a really strong impact on their feelings when they're here at school, their feelings of the culture that students experience when they're here, and it's pretty awesome. Next slide. This one is going to be about restorative justice, if I remember. Yes, so restorative practice is our new rollout, but we're always, at least we're always pushing it, always trying to look for that next piece. One piece of CPS that we feel is a gap area is in the moment when a student has behavior and damage is done to the environment and the relationships. CPS is really good at helping kids problem solve for the next time, but not really great at solving how do I fix what I've done. And so we've started exploring more restorative practice strategies. We're going to be rolling out sources of strength with our team next year. We did a soft rollout with some pilots this year with some of our classrooms, and it's going to be more of a movement for us in the coming year. Next slide. Try and talk quick so I don't take everybody's time. Now we'll talk about transitions program. Transitions, the goal for us this year, the biggest goal was that we wanted to increase our community participation, the amount of job sites, the amount of community outings, the amount of time students are spending in the community instead of in a classroom on campus. Our goal was a 10% increase. Our target, we actually hit 15% this year of an increase in the transitions program, the number of job sites and opportunities we're creating for students to get out of campus. Next slide.
What were some of those jobs?
What's that?
What were some of those jobs?
We partnered with Next Step Recycling. We partner with Lane ESD. We partner with a couple of different schools, South Eugene High School, Churchill High School. We work with Goodwill Industries. There are 13 job sites, and I can't remember all 13 of them, which is an increase. Last year, we ended the year at 10. So definitely moving in the right direction and getting more job opportunities for students. One of the biggest one that I think has had a huge impact is Lane ESD, opportunity to do the paid internships through our facilities team. And that has been a huge benefit to our students and actually experiencing what it is to be in a job, earning a paycheck. So really that opportunity has helped push those kids that want to go and get a job, which has been awesome. Next slide. So this year we developed a kind of a shared vision for the transitions program that really there are 3 pillars in the transitions program that we're focused on. Independent living, community access, and vocational skills are those 3 main pillars that we're trying to work forward with our students and helping them gain those skills in those 3 main categories. Next slide. I'll try to go quickly. We implemented a data system this year. And so data instead is pretty synonymous, so we're always looking for data, but we've never had with those 4 classrooms, it was really disjointed in how we were collecting data. And so we really dug into creating a system, a program-wide data system, how we collected it. And so this is some of the numbers from what that data showed us is a 10% increase was the goal in our functional math skills, and 91% of our student body reached that goal this year. Next slide. 10% increase in functional literacy. And again, over 90% of those students reached that goal. 10% in independent living and community access. 88% of the students reached that goal. And then 70% response rate on this survey we sent out to all of our staff. And so this was a measure of how confident are you in your ability to collect data accurately and be in the agreement. So it was a 35% increase in the agreement across the staff that they feel that they're in alignment on how they're collecting data and what data they know how to collect, and they're measuring it the same way. And 100% of respondents reported that they feel confident in their abilities, which, like I said, is a 35% increase from the beginning of the year to the end of the year of how they were reporting on their skill set, collecting and taking data. And then I'm done. Thank you.
You've had a very busy year.
It's been a fun one.
It's been very successful, it sounds like.
Okay, Savannah's going to share a little bit about our life skills classrooms in Springfield. Hello, everyone. I'm Savannah, and this year I was assigned to focus just on our life skills classrooms located in Springfield Public Schools. It is our largest participating district in our life skills program. So I have the pleasure of supporting students kindergarten through grade 12. So I get the full range, and I love that about my job. And it's now getting to the point where I've had some of these students for multiple years in a row, and I'm seeing them grow and mature. So it's pretty beautiful. So I have just kind of some numbers to throw at you so that you can kind of understand, like, you know, we talk about just knowing our student population and who we're serving. And Springfield is a big place where we're serving not only Springfield students, but also students from some of our outlying districts. We have students from Fern Ridge, which is a bit of a jaunt, but we make it work. And Junction City and Marcola currently coming into our Springfield sites. So we have approximately 80 students in the Springfield Life Skills program. So there are quite a few of them. There are 9 classrooms. So I have sites at 5 elementary schools. Maple Elementary School and Guy Lee Elementary School, you'll see, is kind of a unique model. We have 2 co-located classrooms in each one of those schools. So these classrooms are right next door to each other. I have 2 licensed teachers per building, and they split the students out between primary and intermediate cohort. This has taken a little bit of experimenting, but the conclusion we really came to last year is that expecting 1 teacher and a team of staff to be responsible for 10, 12, 13 students ages kindergarten through 5th grade with life skills level of need. No, it's too much. It's way too much. Even just looking at the size of their bodies, you know, at those ages and their developmental needs, we were seeing that the littles, so like kindergarten through 2nd grade-ish, were learning some maybe not so great skills from some of the older students, and some of the older students were kind of regressing down or couldn't get pushed far enough. Like, it was just too much of a stretch for our teachers to be able to serve all of those needs. So now we experimented last year by splitting our Maple site. We already had 2 rooms. We split that into these 2 different level programs, and it was going well. So then Springfield was like, hey, we hear you when you say Mount Vernon and Riverbend Elementary School aren't the greatest sites for life skills. The classrooms were dark and no windows and in the corner of the building, and I was like, please. And so they relocated us to Guy Lee Elementary School. We're front and center in the building. We have our own little outdoor patios, right next door, sensory rooms. It's fantastic. And there are 2 classrooms right next to each other. So now we have these 2 elementary sites that are split between primary and intermediate. This has been super great because the teachers are able to focus on the skills that the students need at those different levels. We're even rolling out slightly different curriculum, and the teachers can specialize in those different curriculums, and students are moved between the programs. We've done a couple mid-year shifts even. Once a student gets all those essential academic, pre-academic skills in the primary room, we boot them over to intermediate, and they're able to really flourish. So that's what's going on at elementary. Thurston Elementary School, we have, that's where we established our first real medical and sensory needs focused classroom. So all of our students in the Thurston Elementary site have some sort of significant health, medical, or sensory needs. So we have a lot of students who are on some pretty intense seizure protocols, students who are use wheelchairs for mobility primarily. We have a student who had never come to school yet. He's a 2nd grader this year. He had not come to school yet because parent was like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm not gonna send my child to school. It's too scary. He doesn't know what he's getting into because he is deaf blind. And so we proposed this classroom last year, and the parent was like, maybe. And so we like did things like just meet and greet in his home and places he was familiar with, and now he's up to almost a full day at school. Yes, huge win. It gives me goosebumps. So he's crushing it. Lots of stories like that at these sites that are more focused towards students. So it's really beautiful. We're pulling kids out of their homes when their parents were kind of feeling like school wasn't for their kid. It is for all kids. Middle school is as a former middle school teacher, that's all I ever taught. It's kind of my jam. I love it, but it's wild times. But we have made a lot of progress at our middle school sites. We had a lot of movement with teacher placements at Agnes Stewart Middle School site, but we're really honing in on that and seeing a lot of progress there. We had a really great dance party this morning at Agnes, so doing well. And then Springfield High and Thurston High are also just cruising right along. Thurston High School had a really big caseload this year and a new teacher, and he's been doing really well there. And then our Springfield High, some exciting news is we are doubling the size of our space at Springfield High next year. Finally. So we are doing that, and we're gonna receive a location that's right next door to kind of the classroom that's the next level up in special education. Still a self-contained classroom, but they're the class that's out and about in school doing jobs and running Miller Mart and the coffee cart and stuff like that. We've really solidified a partnership with them this spring, and our students are much more visible. They are making friends, like kind of like popular on campus when we come into a space. So progress there. I have one more slide with, oh, hold on, before you do that. Just little pictures, because that's fun. This is the Maple primary group. So some of our little biddies. These are kindergarten and first graders having a snack. And then this was just Friday. I think some of you heard about this horse field trip. I had to like take it all the way to like Tony and Olivia and say like, can we please like go on this horse field trip? It was a little unprecedented, but it went really, really well. Every single child made progress with these horses. They kind of came in, this young man was absolutely terrified. His teacher would walk him up near the horses and he'd run back to the lunch area. But by the end of it, he'd made a new friend. So that was beautiful. One more slide and I'll try to be quick. I already talked a little bit about some of this. At Thurston Elementary, focusing on medical and sensory needs, that has been a great move. We've duplicated that at some other sites, which I'm sure Jared will talk about. Oh, this is important. At Guy Lee, we have completed a grant-funded training process through an organization called ORPATS. They focus on autism evidence-based practices. And so in the past, we've used some curriculum associated with that organization called STAR and LINKS. This year we went all in, and at Guy Lee, both of my teachers there completed full training cycles and are now training sites. They're model sites for this grant-funded evidence-based curriculum. So we already have had like the special education team from Junction City come out and observe our classrooms to see this in practice to then deliver for their staff and students. So I think that that's really great for our organization and showing what good work we're doing. And
what is the name of it again?
excuse me. So it's OR like Oregon. And I'm trying to remember what these letters stand for. I know the A is for autism. Training sites, maybe? Yeah. But their website, you look up ORPATS. And we're looking into that next year as well. It has been really great. Just in the teacher performance alone, I had one of my teachers who was kind of struggling to find her footing, and she's in her 3rd year. So I was a little bit nervous, but she has just completely flourished under this training. So I already talked about some teacher shifts. And then I can't see what that says. Oh, 5 early career teachers finding success. 2 teacher, I can't tell what that says. Yes, 2 teachers have completed their probationary periods. And I got to have their final goal meetings with them in the last couple of weeks. And I'm like, congratulations. So that's really exciting. And they were both like baby teachers. Like this was their first teaching job. And they started with me on my first admin job 3 years ago. So kind of cool. And then we had 3 students in the Springfield Life Skills programs exit life skills into a lesser restrictive special education placement this year. So that is huge news. And I'm very, very proud of them and their teachers. So that is Springfield Life Skills. Any questions? I could talk about it all night.
That's good work.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
All right, Jared's gonna come up and share more about our 4G programs.
But first, I want to talk about transitions just as a parent, because before I'm an administrator and special educator, I'm a parent first. And my son attends a transitions program here, and that vocational opportunity for him has been incredible. So thank you all this was his first year in transitions. Thank you all for that work. It's been you may have seen him at the ESD at some point on Tuesdays doing the recycle, making his noises and. Yeah, no, I've heard it. Yep.
Great.
So my day-to-day job is life skills administrator for 4J first, and then also for the sign language interpreters. So I'll talk about our programs that are in 4J schools. We have 72 students, roughly, give or take. We have students that are mostly 4J students, but we have Crestwell, Junction City, Fern Ridge, Pleasant Hill, Lowell, Marcola. So we have students that are bused into these programs. We do not serve life skills in elementary in 4J. 4J handles their own life skills programs at the elementary level. So we just have middle school and high school. And we have four middle school programs and 3 high school programs. We have one co-located, similar to what Savannah was talking about with her two elementary schools. This co-located program, I'll talk about it on the next slide in just a minute. So HA 1-2, Cal Young, Spencer Butte, Churchill, North and South Eugene. And yeah, you can go ahead and go to well, let me point this out. Some positives that'll be on the next slide to talk about, but this is a STEM class at Cal Young. So we have about 3 students from our life skills class at Cal Young that go into a STEM class every day. It's one of their periods. They go with very little support. They usually have an IA come and check on them periodically throughout the period, but they have their peer buddies, and I took that picture when I was visiting. They do really awesome in there. The teacher, one of the things about inclusion that I think is really important for people to remember and to keep in mind when we talk about inclusion is that I'm not a proponent or advocate for forcing it, but creating avenues to where it becomes a natural and organic process. And so this was actually none of our doing, like none of my doing, none of the ESD's doing necessarily. That was the STEM teacher and our life skills teacher working together. And that teacher said, hey, I would like to include some of your students in this in one of my classes. Do you think that would be possible? And I actually happened to just be there the morning they were having that conversation, just randomly. And I was like, oh, that's beautiful, because that was an organic connection. And that's more what we push for, is for our teachers to build those relationships and network within their schools to make things like that happen. So that's a huge plus. And then this little guy is a 6th grader, just came to us from elementary school and was not utilizing a trike just yet. So that's a big progress for him. And he's in our 2nd program at ATA. You can go to the next slide and I'll start talking about that. So we opened a 2nd classroom in October. At the beginning of a school year, we saw a need where we had our Spencer Butte program essentially had way too many students at the start of the school year. And there's this combination of our students that are very medically complex. They're have a lot of mobility support. They have different feeding and swallowing protocols, medical complexities. And they just weren't working. It just wasn't working out to have them in the life skills program at Spencer Butte. And so we started exploring some ideas of how we can open up a program maybe that would focus specifically on students that are medically complex and have like a greater mobility support need, similar to what they're doing at Thurston Elementary. And then you may have heard of the program in South Lane in Circle of Friends. So you can keep, not yet. Anyway, that program, we got it going at the very end of October. I think October 28th was the start date. That's what that Monday is. So basically November. And first year teacher that we were able to snag right before she earned her degree. And we've really wrapped her with some strong support, and she's worked out wonderfully. That program we've seen so much progress with our students using communication. Most of those students do not communicate verbally, so they have a communication device that they use. Several of our students use an eye gaze device where they're selecting what they're going to say on their device with their eyes, and it's been phenomenal to see that growth. I was just talking to one of the parents this morning, and a parent that is not contentious by any means, but a very strong advocate, and just really making sure that we understand and know what their child needs. And to have that parent talk to them this morning and have them deliver lots of good reports and progress was a great phone call to have this morning, and a testament to that program. The staff there has been consistent the whole time. The teacher is phenomenal, and the teacher will be phenomenal. Our consultant is phenomenal, who's really helped out with that program. I talked about the Cal Young program already in the STEM class. Churchill, one of my focuses this year was to really encourage them to get out into the community more. So they've increased that to their weekly community outings. South Eugene participated in the fall in a South Robotics experience. And I didn't post a picture here, but they would attend the robotics class with their gen ed peers. And that culminated at the end where the students in that class gifted our students in life skills with the robotic creation that they made together. It was really beautiful to see that. And then all of our high schools participated in Special Olympics Unified Basketball this year. Hopefully I know some of you were able to get out to those games. Those are always super fun to see, and we look forward to continuing that. And then several programs went on a field trip sponsored by the U of O to I think it's the HJ Andrews Experimental Force. Is anybody familiar with that? So this is that picture, a picture of one of our programs that went, that's Spencer Butte, and really great experience. U of O reached out to us last minute, and it was a real scramble to try to pull that together, and we were able to do that for 3 of our programs. And make that connection with the U of O was really important. They actually paid for everything, paid for transportation, and took care of all of that, took care of all the logistics for us, which was really helpful, and then did a wonderful job with that field trip. And then, the last, you can't see it, but I remember the last one. So I told you we opened up a second program at ATA. Half of that class is moving on from 8th grade, going into high school. And so what do we do with them? We were able to secure a second program for next year at South Eugene High School. So we'll have a medically complex high school program now at South Eugene. And just as the timeline works out, 2 weeks ago tomorrow, we were able to secure an extra classroom for that program. So all of this is happening at the end of the year, but we'll be ready and excited to get that started next school year. So that's life skills. And then you can go to the next slide. And then we have our interpreters, and we have 27 sign language interpreters, and they're all over the county, not just in 4J and Springfield, but they're all over the place. And that's preschool through high school and in all education settings within Lane County. And then can you read that for me? Because I don't have that memorized.
The Madison Middle School Sign Language Interpreting Team was honored to receive the 4J Spotlight Award at the Golden Apple Award. This is the first time we've had a team this size at Madison, and they're doing an exceptional job representing the values of our agency and serving the deaf community at Madison. Alyssa, Asia, Abigail, Ayla, August, Katrina, and Kelly.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, so wonderful team of sign language interpreters. And if you ever get a chance to see them interpreting it at any kind of event that's going on in one of our schools, plays, They were just at the Youth Pride event, presenting there, or interpreting there. And it's beautiful to see. Even if you don't understand what they're communicating, it really is. They do a wonderful job. And it's been a privilege to connect with them and be their supervisor this year. Any questions?
Great, great.
Oh, wait, I did have one question. Sorry. Was just, do you find it, or what do you do to, facilitate the articulation between the primary and the elementary and the middle school, since you're not overseeing that program?
And that's, there's been a lot of bumps in the road doing that, as you can imagine, because we don't serve those programs. What it comes down to is building the networks with the administrators that oversee those programs, and then making sure that, one thing that we were able to secure again this year, this is my second year in this position, is meeting with the teachers of those life skills programs and explaining to them the process of the transition process of handing them off, because they're already in a life skills program through the consortium. They don't have to fill out a referral for them to come into our program. So it's a handoff, but it's still important to have those meetings so that our parents are prepared, our students are prepared, and then of course our teachers are prepared. And I would be lying if I said it's not clunky still. We're still working out the kinks with that. And I've been able to recognize some more problems that we need to address for next year at the end of this school year. But it's better than it was. And most of our parents have been really, really happy. So yeah, communication and collaboration with 4J.
And now Brittany's gonna talk about our additional life skills classrooms in Southland and Crestwell. And I'll try to go fast because I know we're running out of time here. So we have 2 additional life skills classrooms, both elementary, one in Crestwell at Crest Lane Elementary and one in Cottage Grove at Harrison Elementary. Together they serve 17 students. There was one student at Crest Lane Elementary that did exit to join her general education peers in middle school next year. And that is really great. She'll be supported there because we do not have a life skills classroom currently at the middle school in Crestwell. And we have a really young cohort. So she was our only 5th grader out of those 2 classrooms. So usually we have a lot of like transition meetings like Jared was talking about. We don't have much for these 2 classrooms here. So that was an interesting piece of information. And then I am also going to talk, if you can go to the next slide, please, about our intensive services program. This is, we call it ISP for short. You might also hear it be called the Fox Hollow program as well, the program that we run out at the Fox Hollow Instructional Center. This program serves students with intensive behavior needs. Students are referred to the program from our life skills classrooms or from their district. So typically it's students that are being served in our life skills classrooms that really need much more structured support. We staff this program for 2 adults for every 1 student. And right now they are like in a classroom space that is just designed for them. There are opportunities for these students to work together and collaborate, lunch, recess, projects, things like that, but they have that dedicated space to go back to when they need it. And yeah, once they build skills, they're able to be grouped together. Historically, this has operated as a half-day session with 1 group of students, 5 students in the morning, 1 group of students for 3 hours. 1 group of 5 students for 3 hours in the afternoon as well. We are hoping to shift that to offer as a full day program next year. Next slide. So the program has served 11 students this year, and 3 students have transitioned out of the ISP program back to life skills classrooms, which is huge. That's a really large number for this program. A lot of times students come to this program and are just kind of there. And it's there if they need it for however long they need it, but it's really great when we can build those skills and get them back out to their classroom. And I believe this year, we've been able to do that. We kind of changed how that transition process works and have really built it around the student and what they need. So we're able to support that student back in the life skills program with our staff from ISP. So typically that would look like half a day, 1 day a week, for maybe 1, 2, 3 weeks. And then we build it up 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. And then when they can be there for 5 days with the ISP staff, then we start pulling the ISP staff back and help the classroom staff support that student as well. So that has been really great this year. And then one last slide, I believe. It's really sad that those captions are over it. But I just wanted to provide a work sample from a student from the ISP program. She comes in every morning and does kind of a writing task where she looks at different pictures, picks something she wants to write about. And at the beginning of the year, she needed a lot of help for writing, for generating ideas. And last month, she picked this picture and wrote a sentence completely on her own without any help. And it says, flowers, pink heart, raindrop tree, is what she wrote. And I thought it was just the most beautiful poem. Okay, that's all I have. All right, and Dr. Galaxy is going to present on behalf of Sarah Prinitz, who is not able to be with us tonight, but Dr. Galaxy also works with Sarah with our Justice Involved Youth, so she'll share on this.
So I get to talk about the fun stuff today. I don't really get to do that. So I'm excited to talk about the things we're most proud of with the Justice Involved Youth programs and the regional inclusive service programs that Sarah supports. Sarah does support 23 licensed staff members all over Lane County, and I'm only going to talk about 2 of the programs that she works with today. So she works with the programs at SERBU in collaboration with Youth Services, and that's the Juvenile Detention Education Program on for students that have been detained, and also the RISE classroom that opened this year under a new partnership with the Youth Development Organization. That was a huge lift for Youth Services to get off the ground. That's supporting students who are who have substance use disorder or who need mental health stabilization, and they're court ordered into a 30-day stay with Youth Services instead of sort of the revolving door that is the juvenile detention program. So it's a 30-day, no shorter, no longer program where students receive mental health support. They receive, if they need it, medically supported detox and an opportunity to start on a different path when they leave the program. So we provide the educational support for that program as well. And we also provide the educational services at the MLK Center on that campus. We've done a deep evaluation of the services at MLK, and you'll be hearing more about how that's changing in the future. Yes?
What is the MLK program?
So the MLK program is for students who have left the detention program and need to transition back into their school or to their next place. A lot of the students that leave detention are not maybe welcome back in their district. They've been expelled from their district, or maybe they've been detached from education for a period of time and don't have a district that they necessarily belong to. They're unhoused, they come from another district, and we haven't necessarily established a school of residence or a district of residence for the student. We don't necessarily know where that student will be best served. So we stabilize them at MLK while we figure out where to best serve them in the next place. Maybe it's a GED program, maybe it's a local high school, maybe it's an alt program. And we figure that out. We like to not have students at MLK for longer than 2 semesters. That has not necessarily been super effective. So we are looking at changing that program and sort of how we're providing services to students. But it's intended to be a place where students can come and sort of settle, get back into the swing of being in school. While they have freedom of movement, they're not detained any longer, they can come and go. They're out in the community, but they're still on supervision from a juvenile counselor, what we call parole and probation. We call them juvenile counselors in the youth system, but it's adult parole and probation. It's a juvenile counselor. So they still have supervision and there's still justice attached. But it's a way to get back into the educational system. We also operate the Daffodil School program at the Oregon State Hospital in Junction City. Daffodil School, a couple of years ago, the Oregon State Hospital System divided the Salem program and the Junction City program. Junction City used to be civil commit, where people from the community who were experiencing mental health crisis could go for a period of time, receive services and go back out to the community. That is no longer the case. The Junction City Hospital is now all clients who are guilty except for insanity, so they are also justice-involved clients who have gone through the court system and been found unfit to stand trial or unfit to aid in their own defense, and so they are at the hospital for an indeterminate period of time, unable to be released back to the community for their own safety or the safety of the community. The clients that we serve at the Junction City classroom at the Daffodil School are between the ages of 18 and 21. They don't have clients under 18, and we don't serve students older than 21 unless they're already involved in program because the population is so small. So we don't turn people away if they want support, but we don't receive reimbursement for it either. The teacher there, Trent Linebaugh, works with students on career pathways, GED work. He does work for, he had a student came in and this is an odd example, but I'm going to tell you anyway. This client that he worked with was very interested in psilocybin. All he wanted to talk about was hallucinogenic mushrooms. And Trent was like, cool, you are interested in horticulture. Let's talk about horticulture. And he connected him with OSU's horticulture online education program. And this student got an associate's degree in horticulture through the work that he did with Trent in the program by the time he turned 21.
That's great.
So what that does is that helps the clients when they go before the psychiatric review board show competence and that they've been dedicated to something that is a career pathway, and that helps them stabilize and perhaps be released on a shorter trajectory. Trent does incredible work at the hospital. Highlights of this year, we started educational partner meetings at Youth Services. So we invite all of our educational partners to come once a month to talk about services and how we can provide more cohesive services. Kind of fun and kind of back and forth. Something that's pretty cool out today, a victory of today. Denise Walters, who is our grant writer, also works for Lane Council of Governments. I met her working on the recovery high school grant. Through the conversations about that, said you should come to this behavior health and justice involved individuals partnership meeting that is happening. That was today. And while I was there, we were talking about the public safety coordinating committee that LCOG hosts. That's for adults, but they also have one for juveniles. But we don't invite education partners to that. And I was like, well, hang on, 2 birds, 1 stone. Why don't we have everyone in the same room? And Greg Rickoff was there and Patty Robb was there, and we're like, should we maybe just do something different? And so a whole new idea sparked from that about how we can actually get the right people in the right place at the right time, instead of doing this fractionated, trying to grab people. So that's going to change next year and work out in a much better way to serve students. Because communication we find is the hardest. The adults all have to be on the same page or the kids suffer. Opening the RISE classroom was a big lift, and we got that off the ground. And one of the other cool things is we are part of a pilot project with the University of Oregon Siebert, where every student who comes into the justice system in Lane County is screened for potential traumatic brain injury. And what we have found is about 50% of the students that are coming in to the detained program have experienced or exhibit self-disclosed signs of potential TBI.
Did you say 5-0 or what?
5-0. 50% of the students have had previous history of significant concussions or are currently experiencing significant signs of brain injury, which mirrors the adult population in incarcerated settings. That is stunning, and we can respond to brain injury in a very different way. In Lane County, there are only seven TBI eligibilities in schools.
What does that mean?
Students with traumatic brain injury eligibilities for special education.
I still don't know what that means.
Only 7 children.
Yeah, so 7 special education, so 7 kids in the county,
Seven kids in the entire county.
in the entire county, there are, so. dramatic-
We have entire football teams.
Right, we have football teams, we have rodeo, we have cheerleaders, we have swim teams, we
Domestic violence.
We have-
So you're telling me that out of all the students in Lane County, we've only identified 7 outside of this environment that have TBI. In this environment, it's 50%.
And most of them are in Pleasant Hill and Crestwell. Because
They
those,
screen.
because the special education directors believe in identifying students for TBI, and those districts, and they pay a lot of attention to that. Eligibility, 2 of the kids are in one family. So there's a trend, but if you respond early to TBI, you can have significantly better outcomes. But what we're seeing in youth, juvenile justice and adult justice are the same thing. You can prevent it if you respond early, but if you don't, the
It's right
trajectory.
to the adult system, it's an enterprise.
it-
I did 35 years there, it's an enterprise, the system is messed up and broken.
we wanna break it a little, we wanna try
Good
to
luck.
break it, we're trying to, keep trying to break it, so anyway, I'm rambling.
So just to clarify, the TBI eligibility means they've been screened for TBI and meet the conditions for the educational services within our programs that treat TBI in
So-
educational settings.
They have experienced a brain injury.
Mhm.
They have received, support for the brain injury, and they have an ongoing need for educational support.
Okay.
After a period of time, they continue to experience an impact that impacts their access to education.
Got
And
it.
it fits the special ed criteria.
Mhm.
So there may be kids who've got the traumatic brain injury, but who are just not special ed eligible.
Yeah,
Okay, that makes a little more sense. I was
Yeah.
gonna get like one down all the time.
yeah. But they're.
Does acquired brain injury, is that a
Such a
separate?
good question.
Maybe
Yeah.
yes.
Acquired brain injury is treated under the other health impaired eligibility. There is legislation in,
I saw that.
right,
today.
there's current legislation, it's going back and forth as to whether or not it will go through because some kind of picky wording. That should be picky wording,
Yeah.
then need to change it, maybe to get it through.
Yeah.
Acquired brain injury may or may not be added to the eligibility.
Do you want to explain this to the rest?
So
of us?
acquired brain injury, sure, do you want me to?
Yes, please.
So we can have a separate meeting about it if you want.
We want to know.
Very efficient.
So traumatic brain injury is an external force. It has to be, you hit your head on something, you fell, like you hit your head on on someone else, or you were in an accident, or something, there was an external force to your brain or your spinal cord, something caused an injury.
How else do you get?
Acquired brain injury from birth, or near drowning, or
Disease progression.
Okay.
drug use,
High fevers.
high fevers. We have students who have meningitis, who have brain injury from incredibly high fevers, but they still have special education eligibility, it's just under OHI. And if you have a really adept special education team, they call that out every year. This other health impaired eligibility is because of a brain injury from birth. That means something different than OHI, that's ADHD, or, it's just different, and you have to keep that in mind, but you have to keep that in mind, you have to keep it at the forefront, because it means memory differences, it means learning differences. It's different than other OHI eligibilities. So it has to be a really adept special education team that keeps that sort of at the forefront of the conversation. So that could change. I know. I know.
Oh, doctor, we have more questions.
Well, yeah, we can have, I am so happy to talk about other things. Brandon, can I go to the,
Yeah, but
thank you.
there's-
I'm gonna tell you this really quick.
That would be a really good program to know the most about.
Yes.
Yeah, but I would love to talk to you guys more about regional services at another time, like we can have a meeting with people who want to talk about regional services. We could take a weekend. Deaf and hard of hearing program, we have 5.65 teachers as of right now, who serve 110 students in 15 districts. VI teachers, we have 3.5 of them, serving 70 students in 8 districts. We have visual impairment, deaf and blindness. Deaf blind, we have 6 students with support needs. Those are teachers for the deaf and teachers for the blind, those same teachers who come together to support a need that intersects. For orthopedic impairment, we have a contract with 4J who manages our equipment bank. Under that, it says TBI, we have an administrator who supports professional development for the school district. And under that, autism. We have 1.86 FTE supporting the 87 students that were last year identified with autism services for regional eligibilities. Next year, those numbers are gonna look really, really, really desperately different. Which is the next conversation we'll have when we talk about regional next time. But Sam, I'm gonna leave you with the happy news that these guys are knocking it out of the park. They're doing exceptional work on behalf of the most high impact disabilities in little pockets all over the county.
Legislative plug, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about regional inclusive services, the money that's not adequate to support. It's not the current service level budget that we are asking for. So thank you for advocating.
And there's no administrative costs in this at all. But all of the funds for this whole program goes to teachers. And
We've had this stretch every penny.
yeah, all of the funds that we get under this grant goes to the teaching staff to support teaching.
Okay. Well,
No.
thank you guys for your service, but I'm still a little,
It's a
I'm a
lot.
little puzzled and confused when I hear of assistant superintendent of special education in another district. Well, I never heard that.
You mean
Usually.
funding?
No, the assistant I met assistant superintendent, she come down from ODE and she's now the assistant superintendent of special education under 4J. And she knew, I mean, she said she was just, and I'm like, huh? Wait a minute, we provide that service too, you know? So she's new. I just met her last.
Yeah, we provide, I mean, the districts all have their own special ed directors as well. We take students that they're not quite able to serve.
Yeah,
So we
I
did
got a piece of it from the gentleman
Oh,
that gentleman that spoke before you, so now I see that.
So we do these services for them because there are so few students and it takes such a highly specialized teacher that they contract with 7 regional programs in the state to provide these services. But the contracted amount that they give us to do it is just so small. It's not adequate to provide sufficient services for students because the services are so expensive and the students are so hard to serve.
Yes.
And so the amount of the contract is way too low to serve the students. But fortunately, we just had to write the contract this year. When we were awarded the contract again, we got to write the grant again and we did receive the grant.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, so there's the little cuties. This is our Aubrey Park classroom. And these kids all just went, the blind kids all went to a track meet a couple weeks ago.
So that's kind of an overview of our department, all of the things that have been going on this year and the amazing work of these folks behind me right here, because these are all their programs. They've done a phenomenal job this year. So thank you.
We're not even gonna have a brief announcement about the summer school.
Oh, well,
Well, that's my fault. We should do that. I thought you heard it, so I said.
we were told that you've all heard a lot about camp through our presentations and conferences.
But when it is.
Oh, there you go.
June 23rd.
This month.
Yes, this month.
June 23rd.
Through July 3rd, 9-ish to 1-ish. On this campus, right here, Monday to Thursday. Yep. We will send an email. We will be looking for volunteers, particularly probably for our last day. We're hoping to have kind of a big carnival blowout for the last day. But yeah, we're gearing up for that as well. It's gonna be really special. It's gonna look a little different than last year, but the gist of it is just more friends and fun.
Please send that to me and I'll make sure it gets to.
Okay.
board members.
I'll send it straight to you. We'll send the invitation.
Thank you. I'll do
Straight to you.
it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, especially.
It's been a really great presentation. Really appreciate it.
We're on.
On the consent agenda, do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda as revised? I so moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye? Aye. Okay.
Can I say one thing?
Okay,
Good job, Morgan. There's more hired than left.
I know I have a special script when I get my report on the Dropbox, happy word for word, but I thought you'd be, upset too.
I just want to congratulate you.
Yeah, it's enjoyed it.
Okay. Accept the financial report, do I hear a motion to approve?
I so moved.
Second? Second?
Second.
Okay.
I have a question for you, Olivia. You talk, if this is the wrong place, tell me, wait, I have a question about the changing the budgets, to, you know, the moving categories. Is this where I talk about it or is it later?
Yeah, you can. We do attach the, like the appropriation monitoring is attached to this, and that's kind of how we know we need to make
Okay.
some adjustments.
So you talked about that there are 2 other accounts that you fully expect to need to do a transfer on. And I just wondered why we're not just doing it.
In the resolution of appropriating the transfer of funds, we're addressing all 4 of the instances where we think we're going to.
Oh, okay, I missed that.
Okay.
Any other questions? Elizabeth, do you have anything to add? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passes.
Just say good job on the final numbers in red are still getting better than last year.
That was really good.
So we have transfers and appropriations in the general fund, special revenue fund, capital projects fund, and internal service fund. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve the transfers as listed on the attachment.
Okay, second?
I second it.
Okay, you want to talk about it, anybody? Tell us what we're doing.
Questions?
Sorry.
These are transfers of appropriations, kind of correlates to the monitoring that's included in the financial report. We either have already experienced that, or we anticipate that there are certain categories of appropriations that we believe will be overspent by June 30th if we don't take any action. So this is just in essence to comply with local budget law so that all of our spending in the year end is within the board adopted appropriations.
Any further questions?
Just a quick question.
Go ahead.
For these transfers, I mean, I know we do our best to anticipate our budget and then write a budget that reflects what we have and what we can spend and what the law says and all of that. And I'm not particularly concerned about these transfers in general, but why do we get so off and need to make the adjustments? Like, what are some things that happen, so I just understand the nature?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of different instances that can cause some of these changes. Like the biggest, in the internal service fund, we're looking to transfer appropriations from the support services function to the instruction function. That's because we purchased some smart boards to replace some smart boards that are actually housed in this building here. That gets charged to an instruction function rather than a support service function, even though the budget was intended to be spent for things that are probably more in support of instruction rather than during construction. So sometimes, what we actually end up doing, we then need to make the changes after the fact to make sure those things align. Within the general fund, a lot of, or actually with special revenue and the general fund, sometimes it's just hard to, those transfers being requested aren't very large compared to the actual appropriations themselves. So it's a lot of just the monitoring that we do every month and making sure that at the end of the year, we don't end up overspent. A lot of these are based on projections through the end of the year. So in the end, maybe some of these aren't needed after all, but we want to make sure that we're being proactive. We've in the prior years have ended up overspending some appropriations that does get noted in letter, that the board sends, or that our audit firm sends to the board, just as a note. Just because it's a compliance issue
Right.
or in budget law.
Thanks, it's helpful to understand that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that is unanimously. Okay, we're going to adopt the 25-26 budget, make appropriations, impose property taxes, and capitalize taxes. Is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve the adoption of the 2025-26 budget.
Okay, a second.
Second.
Okay.
And with the related appropriations, right?
Mhm, right. Again, Olivia, do you have anything to add? You did a great budget presentation. Budget committee, thank you. Questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passes unanimously. We're on E, we're going to approve some grants.
Well, let me mention this because it says that you have grants to approve that have been submitted to the board, and you'll notice if you are on board book like I am, there are no attachments. So, I thought these were attached yesterday also, so I'm missing a step somewhere in my board book. And so I apologize for that. I guess at this point, the board either choose to take some action or put it off for another meeting. I can briefly describe them, and I think we have somebody here who knows a little more about them too. Because the other audience are co-director of school improvement, because these relate also to the migrant ed program. One of them is the summer school grant that ESDs were awarded $60,000 for. It's the same one that we received last year. And so that $60,000 goes towards support of the operations of the migrant ed summer school, which will take place later this summer. And so that's one you've approved before. The other one is an early literacy grant that one of our biggest district, Eugene 4J, asked us to partner with them. And I believe it was because they're looking to provide, I think, high-dose tutoring for migrant students in their district and Latinx students in their districts. So they came to us and asked, I think that's a $370,000 grant. And so, again, I apologize. I have both of those documents that were submitted to me that I tried to attach, and I failed to attach it. So if you feel comfortable moving it, fine. If not, we can wait until next.
I think we feel comfortable.
I feel comfortable, and then again, I don't feel comfortable.
I move that we approve these provisionally contingent on receiving copies of the grants. And people have to come in and send a message that says I approve. And if anybody doesn't approve, then the condition failed and we aren't approving it.
That
How's
sounds
that?
that sounds.
that
That sounds really messy, but.
I'm sort of got confused.
The programs, we could just look at it next time.
Well, the thing is, the migrant ed summer school is already going to start. I guess if we also split them up, given the migrant ed summer school is something you've approved before and it's not any different, I would recommend that. The other one, if you want to take a little longer look at, I will be glad to send you via email, which I think I email attachment.
And then
So you
we
can
can
look at
email
those.
back our approval.
Or we just ask on
We're not gonna meet again for almost 2 months.
2 months, yeah, how sensitive it is, because we're not meeting in
The
July.
migrant ed is sensitive.
Yeah,
So
so what about
can
the second one?
So
Donna?
I make my motion again in a way that doesn't confuse.
So we can understand.
Yes.
Try this.
Okay, I move we conditionally approve it, provided that Tony sends us copies, and as soon as he gets a reply from everyone saying I approve, it's approved.
I don't turn down money.
I don't think if we had a board secretary here, our board secretary
It's
would.
very awkward.
I think that we have to approve or not approve,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
whatever.
That's not true.
Okay, well, show me the rules, I don't know.
You can't,
Well,
that's what it
He says we're to have it
Is there a
granted.
second?
Or we
If not,
can
guys,
wait and Tony can email us and we pay it. I mean, just like we do with our foundation, we do all our approval just over the
We
weekend.
can't
make a decision, though. We can't have a quorum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I would accept a motion for the first grant and we can table the second. I'm comfortable with that, if that doesn't significantly mess up the literacy grant, to just, because you move forward with things and have us approve that. Would that work?
What won't work, we cannot deliberate outside of a public meeting. That would be considered deliberation outside of a public meeting. The public needs to hear you and
Right.
discuss it. So I do think there's at least and I could be wrong, but I believe you have enough information about what you've seen in migrant at summer school.
Right.
If it's anything different about what we've done before, that one I think is clean. The other one, I would feel more comfortable if you saw it via email and I could send it earlier. And then we can take the action in July meeting and have more questions and we can discuss what those questions are.
That's gonna be timely enough.
I think so.
The early learning grant, I mean, the summer learning grant, yes, that could be approved today, it'd be great, and the other, we do have a little bit of time, so.
Yeah, I'm curious about anything with 4J on it. I'm just transparent.
I want to see more detail. And
Yes.
I have the details.
When it comes to grants, we've had some problems with grants.
Right,
Grants,
I'd be glad to
students
send
and
that.
funding, so.
Prior to the next meeting.
Okay, so did the motion die?
Died for lack of a
Yeah.
second.
Dan, move that we approve the summer learning grant.
Second. Discussion?
We love what you do. Sorry, migrant education. I don't know if I said it exactly right, but I know what you do and it's fabulous.
So the second one grant, this is a new grant in partnership with 4J.
No.
That's the one I would wanna, the new one.
Early literacy.
No, the new one.
Yeah,
That's
early
the
literacy.
new one.
That's
Yeah, the
the-
new one, we haven't seen.
We're not, there wasn't, that's not the motion. The motion's for the migrant assumption.
Right.
We roll that by response.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And the other one you're gonna send to us and
we'll
we'll
take it next
address in July,
Yes.
correct?
Again, I apologize for.
When does your assistant come to work?
Not soon, not soon enough.
They are ours.
We have coming up. By next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, did you have that, the other grant that you talked about? You thought,
Oh, no, we're good. Just,
Oh, okay.
we're ready for 9.
Move to approve the tentative agreement with the LCEA.
okay, second?
Second.
Okay, you wanna talk about this?
Yeah, well, I'll say on this one is that LCEA voted, I think it was 97% approval rating for the tentative
Wow.
agreement. This was agreement that our team, Molly, Morgan, and Eric, with support from the board chair, worked with LCEA, and it calls for 3.5% COLA in the next year, 4% the year after that. Also, we had experimented with, we did a pilot of having provide money to employees who opt out of insurance. And we had a $300 stipend for that in the last 2 years. And the survey that was sent out said if we increased it to 500, enough people would opt out according to the survey that it would actually be more money to the district as well. So it's kind of a win-win that increased to 500. And I think the other part of the collective bargaining agreement stated that evaluations at this point
Oh, right.
would, that they can be appealed all the way up to the superintendent.
Right.
So those are the main provisions. Morgan, anything else I'm missing?
3.6 insurance.
Oh, yeah, the insurance was a 3.6%. So that was a tentative agreement, and that's what you asked.
I think it's a very pleasant, that's, you get it very quickly and the trust continues on. So that's great. Good job. Okay, any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passing unanimously. So you have our calendar here. Had a chance to look it over?
Yeah, the big note is,
We changed it to-
Yeah.
the big,
Somebody wrote a law, that's
the two big changes are that, we typically meet on the first Tuesday of the month. July 29th is not the first Tuesday, but that's because we have to have a July meeting. We've been kind of joking about, but we do have to have a July meeting. And we'll still have that one summer meeting, but instead of an early August meeting, it's a late July meeting. To satisfy the July requirement, we still have our kind of organization meeting that takes place in the summer. And then September 9th is the second Tuesday, and that's just because it falls, the first
Yeah.
Tuesday falls the day after Labor Day. So it's the first week.
Okay, here a motion to accept the calendar as presented. So moved. Second? Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, passes unanimously. We are down to the policy recommendation.
Oh, that one was-
So,
I
like,
can tell you guys, you should appreciate the policy.
Yeah, we worked hard. I mean, I got through about 80% of them.
Hours.
And I can't believe it.
So I think Leslie Rose, Sherry, the other policy committee members can help me if I mess this up. But the way I think we decided to chunk this out is after the policy committees looked at these after the first read, we come forward with a clump of policies that have been recommended for us to delete. And then there's a chunk of policies that we recommended the adopted changes that OSBA has made that are reflected upon the connections here in the board book. And then there were a few new policies that were recommended to be adopted. There's three categories.
Yep.
Recommended to be recommended.
I have a question. I don't understand. I mean, I see the delete policies, the update policies and recommended policies. And then there's this other stuff. What's that?
That's clerical error on my part. The other stuff looks like this. I just printed it out. So on board book, I can click on that and it takes me to that.
We should try that.
Yeah, if you have a paper copy, it doesn't do anything. Those shouldn't appear. They shouldn't. I just don't know how to.
Okay.
So we want to take it section by section?
All right.
Just thank you all so much. I mean, I really appreciate all the change in the, the updated language. And
Long overdue.
yeah, it's really great. And there was a couple of I made note on paper. Goodness, because there was a couple of policies that I wondered, DJR2, the funds for, meals and celebrations and stuff. And that was a new policy.
Let me see this one. Which one you?
DJR2 is the one I wrote down.
There isn't a
DJC -AR.
Maybe it's DJ something.
Two. Okay. DJC.
I see DJC, DJR.
Okay, let me get, maybe if I can see the line, maybe what it was before, what was, maybe I got that. Okay.
DJIR. Recommend
You're right.
adopt new.
Okay. Oh.
That's DJCR too.
We do have DJ AR1 and DJ AR2, but we're not recommending any changes to those two.
And those are regs anyway that we
Yeah.
don't approve or disapprove.
If it says R or AR, they're administrative regulations. Even though I think some may be in here that you don't. Update policy, you don't need to approve it, it just.
Some of that's under delete policies. DJ.
Okay, it was DJ, maybe it was, okay, because here's DJ R1, R2, and then DJ. And then it was DJ CB2, maybe that's what it was. Because I'm seeing it right now. Anyway, is that a new policy? Having funding? for-
DJ AR2, expenditure of funds for meals, reimbursements, and gifts.
AR, I left that in.
And since it's an AR, it's not a board policy, it's an administrative regulation, so you wouldn't be voting on it. But I don't think there's anything, I don't have a recommended change for the administrative regulation.
Okay.
So that case,
So it says adopt new. That's what
Yeah.
you've got on our list.
No.
that's what we call that, we probably should be changing.
DJCAR2 says recommended.
No, this is just DJ.
Just DJ.
AR,
Oh, just DJAR.
so that shouldn't have.
Yeah.
That's why I was having trouble, I don't see
Yeah,
DJ.
There is no DJ.
No, because it's gonna stay there.
Okay.
All
Any
right.
other comment?
But anyway, it sounds like it was.
It's not new. That's I think the answer to your question.
It's not new, okay, it
not
just had no changes on it at all.
That's correct.
Correct.
Okay, that's, well, I need to join this policy. Learn how to read all this.
You get on the ball, that's for sure.
So we have the category to delete, update, I recommend to adopt, and then the rest of them.
I move to delete, update, and adopt the slate as listed in this.
I second it.
Agenda.
Any further discussion, other than giving your policy committee a big thank you?
I give you a big thank
Just-
you, but I request a manual with every one of these policies. Provide me with my manual of all policies that we're covering.
When we're done,
So I don't have to call you and ask them.
when we're done.
I like that.
Do you want it hard copy?
Yeah.
Okay. I've been
When we're
making.
done, when we're
Yeah,
done.
that's a good idea.
And my only comment is like, since I drive by this building all the time, I occasionally notice advertising and I always check with Tony to make sure it's approved, because I think people don't even ask. So it's just, because this talks
Okay,
about
any further questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, wow, that's great.
Whoa, then we just zip through it.
Yeah, we're gonna have a copy of all
So next month it's E.
And then we have the,
So now we're on to the sole source procurement.
Yes.
So,
about that.
yeah, I did send you an email about this earlier today, to try to alert you. I know it wasn't a lot of notice, but this is actually policy DJC in action. So it's timely, I guess, you just approved it, although this would be in the DJC before your changes and the DJC changes, the same thing. What we have here is a situation where the REN, the Western Regional Educator Network, serves all of the districts in the Lane ESD region and in the LVL ESD regions. That's 28 districts, with about 230 schools. And there is a company called Upbeat that provides teacher surveys, educator surveys, and does so in a manner that offers regional specific comparisons. There are some agencies that do national comparisons, and this one is specifically related to educators and education retention, teacher retention. So it's a goal of the REN, teacher retention being one of those goals. It's a goal of Lane ESD to try to retain teachers, and many districts looking at the same thing, trying to retain. As we look across the region, what's unique about this is that regional comparison and the educational retention focus compared to other entities that will do a nationwide comparison or will compare workplaces, but not necessarily the education space. So there's a uniqueness to Upbeat. The other part of it is we have several districts in our two regions, the two ESD regions, that have been using Upbeat. So this is a benefit for them that the funding for the survey comes from the REN, not out of their general fund budgets. You may have been reading about our districts, or component districts, and some of the financial hardships they're having. So the REN looking to do something that's relevant to the district, do something the districts want, and do it in a manner that can then be, that the REN can actually do the work to help, Upbeat will do some coaching, but the REN can coordinate a lot of this throughout the region, which is their task to do in the state. Eric and Olivia have been working pretty hard on this the last 3 or 4 days. Anything you need to add?
I think the uniqueness of the opportunity for everyone in Lynn, Benton, and Lane counties to actually do the same thing is so rare. And the fact that this company can actually provide that where others would not be able to, would be in that situation, really makes it a unique opportunity for us to take advantage of and be able to provide that support to our districts, and for a South Lane to be able to talk to another comparative district and say, well, why is that working so well in your district, not in ours, and vice versa. Can really open up some of those strong collaborative practice or culture and climate.
Looks like Columbia Gorge does this, their REN does it for their region, and Northwest Region is with their nurses.
Just liberation. Vanessa.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. Just the word sole source procurement always makes my hair on my neck stand up, being someone that writes federal grants. And I'm assuming that, well, I wanted to check with Leslie too, like if we were, do we have like a risk assessment matrix, you know, by, because I can see how it could fall back on, you know. That's really what I was gonna ask. You said that REN's gonna pay for the cost. Is there any cost to us at all?
Well,
Personnel?
we're the backbone for the REN. So with the rent, but cost to our general budget, no, it's not the rent.
Does it cost personnel time?
The rent personnel will be doing, but the rents, this is
That's
part
what
of,
they're doing.
part of what they do.
But so there's not any,
No, there's no additional work. I mean, it's part of what they do, is that part of their goal is to work on teacher retention. This would be a teacher assistance.
well, I believe that, I'm just asking sort of about the nuts and bolts about whether or not this is really gonna cost us something.
We're not gonna be adding personnel to do it, the personnel will be supporting in the rent. So it will be, I haven't answered the Vanessa. The one thing I didn't add is, part of our, I think, requirement with the sole source procurement is the opportunity for somebody to challenge that. And so
Right.
the other part of what I'm recommending is that we also publish this electronically for 7 days, which is the requirement. And wait to hear if there's any challenge.
Are there other groups, I mean, it sounds like it's a pretty unique type of. Do we need to make a finding that, to the best of our understanding, this is truly a unique source? Would that be helpful?
That's what we've been looking into, to see why this is something that, other big companies who have maybe more national exposure would not be able to do. The uniqueness is that regional approach, focusing on retention. And if the part of it that I think that where the risk comes a little less is that allowing that time period for someone to say, hey, wait a minute, we do this. And that's what we'll find out. We don't think we'll hear that because we haven't heard that in other regions. But if that's there, then that.
Do we know what the cost is for the?
Yes, it's $450,000.
Yeah, I'm a little confused whether,
Where the money?
I'm coming, this 450,000 is a procurement. I got the impression that we're gonna apply for it and we're gonna continue to provide the service or whatever. For 4J and Bethel, who's been using it and do the budget, they can't afford to continue,
I
or
don't know if they can or can't, but this is something that if we pay for this region, they won't have to.
they won't have to.
Yeah, and there's more, and in Lynn Benton region, there's districts.
Well, this will surely cost Ren something, they'll have $450,000 if they can put on something else, but who decides the Ren budget?
There's a coordinating body on the REN that is made up primarily of educators, primarily of teachers, and that was the design of the REN. Or all the RENs in the state.
But are they our teachers?
Yes, there's some teachers from not necessarily from Lane ESD. I don't know if we have any teachers from Lane ESD. We might in the past we have, but they're teachers from the Lane County districts and the Lynn Benton.
I think here's what I'm trying to ask is, I mean, if they decide, why do we have anything to say about it? If we says no, would they go ahead and do it?
We're the backbone.
We would not legally be allowed to go through with a procurement without you as the board serving as the local contract review board authorizing the special procurement. The other alternative, if we don't authorize a special procurement, we could do like a formal request for proposal process and publish that and solicit proposals. The reason why we're seeking the special procurement is because we are not aware of any other companies or consultants that provide this service. So we would anticipate only receiving a proposal from them, therefore we would be in the same place. The board, for your policy, you are the local contract review board for the Lane ESD. So anytime we do any type of special procurement, the local contract review board does need to approve that. We need to post the notice of our intent to do that. And then after 7 days, the solicitation period is done, and then we could proceed with the contract at that point. The contract is part of the REN's budget, not only for this current biennium that's ending on June 30th, but they've also planned for, it's a 2-year project, and so they plan for part of the cost out of their 25-27 biennial budget as well. So their intention is to do this for a 2-year period of time at least, and then be funding it out of their grant funds each of those years.
And then like specifically what their goals with REN. So they are to provide activities and tasks to work toward better teacher retention. And this has proven, and the document that Tony sent to you today, if you have an opportunity to read that,
Mhm.
shows some of the data in there, which they've been able to show through the changes, just the data looking through, finding out from teachers what is helpful for the children.
And Eugene and Bethel are using it now, so to speak.
And also Springfield using it, but they were definitely using it, and then several districts in Whitman, and county also.
So 4J, was it 4J superintendent and Beth the superintendent that come to the cabin, that came to you, or who came to you?
It's actually the red,
Oh, the red?
so the red's more, let's say, grassroots teacher
Yeah.
initiated, so that, yeah, it has to be, yeah. So I think that's where it came first, and then when I got that information, I said, oh, wait, who's using Upbeat? Who wants to continue using Upbeat? Bethel and 4J who were. And I thought Springfield wasn't, found out that they were as well. And then I wasn't familiar with the districts that were then, several there recently. And so that it was initiated more from that grassroots kind of teacher talking about rent, so
Well, with them using it, I think that's kind of a proven good results.
I'm thinking about risk again and how stuff could come back if we, I know that we have had consistently really good audits. Is this something that could be flagged in an audit?
if we didn't follow this procedure, it would be flagged. I think that as long as you're following the policy, that's what they're gonna be looking at. So let's say.
We've done this sole procurement before?
Mhm.
Okay.
I'm
I
just
think
looking,
the last time we did it, I believe it was with something connected with the county, if I recall. I remember we did, yeah, just business manager, 3 or 4 years.
also I'm looking at the,
No, you were,
Well, I was.
you asked a question.
so it says, you can buy something from a sole source and it kind of gives some things, which I think mostly you've done, but the description of the contract or contracts to be covered and, the product or service to be purchased. So, I didn't say like how long or how much. So I think that would need to, just to dot the i's and cross the t's on that, right? I'm looking at the old policies. I think that's the one that's still around there, right?
The laws and rules
This
are
is-
still the same, they
Yeah,
haven't changed.
it just says it in different places.
Okay, okay. I
So
mean,
the recommendation of the staff is to pass this, policy.
yeah, I would just, for the minutes, maybe we would want to document that you said this was a 2-year contract and the cost was $450,000-ish. More than something.
I think that's the amount. Great. Okay.
Yeah, just because it says we're supposed to have these things for the record.
And it doesn't have to go, well, it's a procurement, okay.
And then the reasons why we want to do it, which you've listed in this.
Yeah.
That's fine, so, yeah.
The other part of it too, Rose, I think, is that just, I'm repeating myself, but making sure that it's the, that if this motion were to be brought and seconded, that the motion includes the 7-day window. That
Okay.
helps avert some of the risk in terms of the fact that we,
Yeah.
if somebody's out there we didn't know about it,
Right.
we'll find out.
Okay, any other questions? I hear a motion.
All right, I move to authorize the procurement of the Upbeat product for 2 years, contingent on the 7-day posting. Consistent with
Anything else there? Second? I second it. Discussion?
2-year, right?
That's what she said.
All right.
And then she put the 7 days into it.
I just wanted to say that, I mean, it seems like we're following the law and that the regional purchase is kind of, seems like a value that we're able to bring to our districts, the 40% savings across the board. Like, yes, the savings would be more for districts that were buying it fully on their own before, but if we were to independently buy this for the other 25 districts, it would cost a lot more. Or if each district were, and the REN does cover all those districts, so it seems like an appropriate use for the funds. expense, and the cost savings seem to at least wash out,
Yeah,
in terms of the other districts. So, and the teachers want it, and I think that's the most important.
okay, all those in favor say aye.
I,
Any opposed? Okay, one opposition. Okay, number 10.
You're not supposed to abstain. You don't have a general conflict of interest.
no, you can just.
All right,
you
well,
can just sit here.
okay.
You're up.
I'm up again, okay, legislative update, so I kind of covered it already, I said my comment about the RIS funding, and Annie added to that, when she gave her presentation. We know that the legislature approved the $11.36 billion state school fund. So the amount that we thought was the right roll up for the current service level was approved, so that's a good thing. But given the revenue forecast that we received a couple of weeks ago, we don't know for sure what's going to happen with those other funding bills, like the RIS, that's really important to the operations that we do, or to increase money for special education where the costs have gone up, but the revenue hasn't matched closely what those costs are. So that's in jeopardy. We've got the session coming to a close here in a couple of weeks, so we're here. There should be some movement in action next week or so. They might get out of the session most likely, but I have not heard the latest in terms of some optimism for the special education fundings. Doesn't mean it's time to stop advocating. Maybe it's time to increase it a little bit. I know Rose sent a nice note to one of our representatives about this recently, and I think it's important to remind our educators, supporters that education support for all students.
So you would like us to contact?
I think it's perfectly fine with contact representatives and advocate for increased RIS funding. And
RIS funding,
That's-
RIS.
that seems to be our biggest issue right now, but when we talk about all of our districts in the county, and all the special ed students, the RIS serves the population. Annie's told you that there's definitely some real issues in terms of being able to come close to serving them the way we're doing in the future. Special ed students in all our districts our districts are getting bitten on the increased costs and lack of reimbursement. So the 11% cap is one. I think high cost disability reimbursement, that is something that could move. And then we don't run directly early intervention early childhood special education, but throughout the state, that's another thing like RISE that there are areas contracted that we subcontracted the EC players out in develop. That's also like RIS. This is not funding is not contracted. Those are the special ed programs I'm talking about. There's a potential bill, or there is a bill coming, I think, to a vote soon. I'm not sure what day it is, but it should be anytime soon. That it talks about pay for striking workers. It's looking like that. It's got about a 50-50 chance of passing. That's going to get to the full floor.
Is that just for educators or for anybody?
It's for anybody.
Wow.
I think. But, yeah, it's any student. Okay, that's a brief legislative update. We move to superintendent's report. I guess most current thing was one of the grants that you approved formally, the Recovery High School grant. We did receive notice from the Oregon Department of Education Friday that we are one of 3 educational entities in the state that has been awarded the grant. We just haven't been awarded the funding. So it's one of those things where I get the email that says, congratulations, you are
In theory, you're great.
one of 3 districts, and we may not be able to fund this. And so it's also unlikely, we may not know about the funding until September. So it's supposed to start in September, so it looks like there won't be a start of the recovery school. Either if we get the funding or not, it's going to be delayed a little bit.
Yeah.
We still are working on the planning. The other thing I wanted to mention, and I think a couple of you
Is that gonna be an unfunded mandate where we have to do it?
no, there's no funding.
Oh, well, I know, that's why I think, I mean, is it a command that we do it even if they don't send the money? Okay.
We won't take the contract.
So just,
Yeah,
when you talked about the legislative report and writing to your officers, we received a confidential memo, so you can't quote the memo, it's confidential. But you can say that because of the, insufficient amount of the regional inclusive services funding, we are laying somebody off. Like,
yeah, there's a.
that happened today.
we have a
So that's what we did, that's what we needed to do, we didn't have a choice, we don't have that funding, but, so they could still put money in there, and we could still possibly fill those positions. So, and the students are there, it's not because we have fewer students, like some of the layoffs were because of fewer students, but this is because we don't have money to serve them in the way that the model shows we should serve them. So you could say that,
Yes.
I wrote to my representative.
Thank you for that. Moving on, Youth Voice Summit, that was held on our campus last Thursday, and over 200 students from 14 of our districts showed up. And somebody popped in to see that, it was quite the energy flowing through the building. Usually a quiet workspace turned into energetic learning environment. It also included DJ in the parking lot at lunchtime. So it was, students just brought real good energy. And there are posters on the wall where students have added comments, and those were all captured.
And these were students from all 16 districts?
14 to 16.
14, what didn't make it?
Oak Ridge,
Besides
South,
LCC?
Oak Ridge and South Lane.
Oak Ridge and South.
Yeah.
Is it probably transportation?
I'm not sure. Yeah, but we had, that was pretty big. Hope Factory, tomorrow is the first kind of mini graduation ceremony. We have 3 graduation ceremonies for Hope Factory students. One is tomorrow at 8:30. Another
In the
one,
morning?
yep. Another one tomorrow at 1 p.m. These are about half hour, 45 minutes long. You want to stop in?
Are they the same students?
No, there's 3 different cohorts. So there's a morning cohort, that's the 8:30 one, and there's an afternoon cohort at 1. And then there's a Fridays only cohort, and they have a ceremony Friday at 9.
Are they, where are they gonna be?
They're gonna be held right there in their classroom at Garfield.
Oh, yeah, we just visited.
Yeah, that Hope Factory.
What's happening?
So the Hope Factory students, seniors over there, they're gonna graduate from their home district. This is the district. This is just the Hope Factory to say goodbye. It's pretty informal, but it's nice to hear from kids and see them. Also, more good news. I guess I'm saying some good news from here on out. Our blue ribbon panel just went and scored the applications of 8 regional teacher of the year candidates from Lane County. Jade Russell from Hamlin Middle School, Mandy Hoggard from Cresswell High School, Maria Curtis, Early Head Start, Michelle Epperson, Charter School, Robert Monroe, Dos Rios Elementary School, Sally Golden, Springfield Transition Program, Sarah Kuhn, Head Start, and Shelley Dixon, Laurel Elementary. Those were all nominees for our Regional Teacher of the Year. Our team voted and we've submitted. We cannot reveal who was the candidate.
Was anybody else on the board scoring?
I was.
I mean, they were just.
Thank you, I couldn't.
I wish like
I was
we
handicapped.
honor them all, they were all so amazing.
It was a great group, great group. Really good.
Yeah, they'll bring up, what was it, the baby circle time?
Yeah.
I mean, the things you can do with a 1-year-old, it's amazing. Wow. Sorry.
Also, another award that was handed down in our region, Small Schools Association, we're going to be awarding Dave McGrath, the Oak Ridge Superintendent of the Year. They'll hand that out.
What?
Yep, Dave McGrath, Oak Ridge Superintendent, Small School Superintendent of the Year.
And last year's was ours. Not very much like this.
And OA ESD will have a new executive director starting July 1, and that's Sam Breyer. He'll be working half-time as the executive director, former superintendent of Multnomah ESD. So that's my report.
Any questions of Tony's report? Thank you, Tony. Okay, first reading for policy E.
Yeah, policy E, policy section E was another large one. You can see, I'm sorry for these attachments coming in different ways. They either come with individual policies. This time it's the whole section. It looks like one link, and it is one link, but the link takes you to 100 and some pages. And so this is the first read on those. And what you have is essentially what we got from OSBA Policy Committee recommending certain choices. You still see strikeouts if you read it. And those are there so you can see what was stricken, and then you can also see what was in.
It's also recommendations of relevant administrative staff, right?
Yes, we also had some recommendations we had recommendations from our facility lead, Brad Johnston, Olivia Whalen, and even Lane School. So that's the first read. And so I guess the homework is to read those. If you have questions, let me know before July 29th. Policy committee.
So that's all for us. So we'll go to our directors since you guys are here, and thank you for being here. We'll start with Eric. What you been doing, Eric?
Whatever you're talking about. Had my hands busy with supporting, and Brandon will probably talk a little bit about, maybe not know, still a little bit. Been working on the policies around tech use and all the new, I guess it's information that OSBA is putting out along with following around policy, working with like the standing around our use of personal and professional equipment and what all that comes into, all the way to AI, et cetera. And so clear as time, just trying to put everything into a way that our staff can understand and know and highlight, make sure that we're following all our procedures, et cetera. So that's been a lot of work, learning a lot. Brandon's been very and also working with the Upbeat piece and also our mentor program with special education. So just trying to help and support where we're looking various.
Okay, thank you.
So, it takes a lot of time and energy explaining technology.
He was looking at you.
It's been great. It's a lot to go through, some of our policies. You're all reading through them. I'm trying to get ahead of some of that as it relates to tech. We have a cybersecurity handbook. This is a few years out of date. And so I'm updating that. All of it kind of reflects to one another our common practices. And it helps us to kind of put our technology environment in a more secure place. And so that as we make decisions that are sometimes difficult, but it's in support of kids, we can lower that risk. Without improving our security footprint, we can't take that risk on, right? We've got to really secure where we're at, and that actually allows us far more flexibility as we support the other programs and classes. So we've spent a great deal of time doing that. Also, with the political climate, the increase in renewals, not just software renewals, but equipment renewals, is really pretty out of control. We've had renewals as high as 53% as an increase.
Cost increase.
Usually you can expect that a cost increase will be about 4% on average every time you sign. But we're seeing 10, 15, and we've had one 53%. So coming up with that kind of money on the spot is pretty difficult. And the problem is we're typically about 30 days, if we're lucky, we're 60 days out on a renewal when we actually get that pricing. And rebuilding or putting an entirely new system in 30 or 60 days is almost impossible. And we've had 5 to 6 increases that are 15% and higher. So we're spending a lot of time trying to figure out what we can go without and how we can pivot into either an existing system or a new one that's maybe free, or that it's secure. So that's pretty much where our time is.
everybody just thinks they can, so they do. Very surprising, because
Yeah.
we're so used to it.
Yeah, we're kind of
Gas
stuck.
stations.
There's nothing we can do.
No.
A couple of the companies, they've actually stated that they only want the top 10% of customers, so they're intentionally pricing this down.
How do they judge a customer?
Based
How much
on
money you
the,
have?
yeah, based on the
Yeah.
amount of money that you're spending with them year over year. So Broadcom, which is the company that focuses on virtualization software, was the industry leader. Every school district, for the most part, is using them. And their increases have been up to 25%. There's a district up north where their renewal went from 30,000 every year to 250,000.
Oh my gosh.
Ours went from 3,500 to 36,000.
Oh my gosh.
So
That's awful.
How does that make any sense?
It doesn't have to.
They're,
That's bottom line.
as a corporation, they're transitioning their focus areas. Education's too much work, it's not enough revenue. So they'll pull back on those efforts, save on that FTE in that time. And then you can really, focus on the higher level customers, your big enterprise.
Big profits.
You don't realize we're educating the future leaders of America.
They do not care.
Yeah, say they have
They'll
zero
get
profit.
from China.
I give them every what for I can.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna get it.
Oh,
We get out of cut, no problem, yeah.
Would you mind? Okay, great. Well, I'm gonna stand up for just a second, because I have some things to share with you. If you don't mind. Everyone, get some down, and I'll grab some on this end. And we'll meet in the middle. Now, I also, for the record, want to let you know that when I have never had allergies in my life. What is happening? What is this? I've never experienced this feeling, and I'm not enjoying my life right now. Okay, so good evening, everyone, and I think the audience, projector is for improvement. So many wonderful things have happened this year in school improvement. As you all know, we are constantly looking for innovative ways to not just engage our administrators and our staff, but also our students. And so I'm going to start with this one purple. And Tony talked a little bit about this, which was our Youth Voice Summit. And he mentioned that there were big sheets of paper throughout where students were able to write their thoughts and their experiences. And you'll on this front page have the summary of that information. So this is direct student voice around a variety of topics. And so those that are highlighted, right? So what are student dreams for education? They need more love, right? We need more love in schools. And what does that look like? And so we have a lot of conversations around that. What gets in the way of attending the school? Mental health and stress are real. Some days it's just hard to get, right? So so that ties into more love. So then what do we do? How do we create the spaces for students to be able to come to school on those really hard days? And I think we all can relate to that. It's really hard for us, right? To come to work and be fully present, and yet sometimes we have unrealistic expectations for students. So how can we begin to address that for our students? And so you can read through this page here, and then on the back, it talks about the plans for next year, continual action plan. And this is all student led. What are the students looking for, wanting to do, and also in particular for their teachers, right? So one thing is for them as the students participating, what would they like to see? But also what do the adults, what kind of spaces do they want the adults to engage? So there are a lot, I want to say 27 student-led sessions. There are many sessions that were led and with community partners as well. And so there was just a plethora of energy and enthusiasm. As Tony said, it was a very, you could hear us. You can hear everyone at the ESD, and they learned things like embroidery, and they learned things about, virtual reality as CTE, just everything. Everything between a delicious food and a DJ. So it was a really beautiful space. And sometimes we don't envision, Like ESD as a space for kids, feels more like an office, but not a office. It was very much a student space. So, and Youth Voice, the leaders in Youth Voice have also created a podcast. I don't see the link on here, so I can send that forward so you can follow our students. They are recording in our loft up above. There's a loft up there, so they're recording. They're very excited for that. So more to come on that. So great work with Youth Voice. And this other sheet talks about in continuation with Youth Voice, but also tying in Native Youth Wellness. So you'll see some highlights from there and some really beautiful pieces from that. Dr. Rochelle Wiener-Nieto talked recently shared around oral history, shared history, and the curriculum that she teaches to the different cohorts throughout Lane County. And she talked about this current cohort, there are 25 students or teachers. And from those, 5 of those teachers reported providing 3 lessons in their history and Native history, and the rest provided over 3, with 1 teacher providing over 9. And as Rochelle said, and it wasn't in November, right? It was in spring. It was, we're present in here, and so even though statewide or nationally there is a lack of momentum, not locally, we're moving forward, and we're really highlighting our Native community. And one thing that they did that I also want to highlight is they did a day of learning. Rochelle did a day of learning at Thurston High School. And so all 7 periods throughout the day were focused on a variety of aspects of Native youth wellness, whether that's Native art, culinary, history, so on and so forth. And so it was an entire day of every student being able to learn about our Native folks and friends and families. And they also continue to do their monthly culture nights with about 30 to 100 families attending every night. And this past week, they did the first foods event, so that was very well attended with over 100 families, and so there's many more details on here for that. And so these are the highlights of things that we're closing out the year with, and to piggyback on the grant that y'all approved today, so thank you for that. As you know, Title 1C, migrant education, our budget's being cut dramatically, and the current proposal is for it to be completely taken away. So thank you very much for that. And we are moving ahead with our summer planning, and this year we have 27 binational teachers coming from Mexico, and Lane ESD is currently hosting the coordinator. I asked her to come I'm gonna go over in just a second. And we're hosting her, and she travels throughout the state in support of all the teachers. So we're doing beautiful work. We're fully staffed. We did have we had a lot of folks interested in returning, and so and we had a lot of candidates. So it was really great. It was good. Now we're all fully funded, fully staffed. And just as a note, you'll get an invite later for the gala or New Year's celebration. This year we are moving it from Fairfield. We're going to be at the Willamette High School football field. And we actually just came from touring that, and so the dreaming has started, and it'll be ready to be out, so it will be amazing. So yes, and so I'll send that a little bit later. So wonderful things have happened, and we're going to continue on the rest of the summer. So
What date is that gonna be?
July 31st.
Okay, just wanna see the date. So there's 27 teachers?
Yes, our national teachers throughout the state.
Who all hosting it?
We ladies is hosting the coordinator that supports them, and we are bringing 3 teachers. Yeah, that'd be great. So thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, Morgan.
Great, I pulled a little something up because I want to make sure I hit the main points. It's about staffing updates for the year. Pretty excited about sharing that, and then also some staff recognition. So first off, I'm really pleased to share with you that we are entering the summer in a really strong staffing position with the majority of the roles filled. And that's a
They
success.
signed our contract.
Yes, this represents one of our most successful early hiring practices for some time. I wasn't able to confirm ever, so I wanted to make sure that the record didn't say that. But for some time, we're headed in a really good direction. Going into the summer will put us into an ideal position for a strong start for next year. So we're excited about that. This success is a direct result of the dedication and the actual work that the HR team has done. I got to bring in ideas, and the team took these ideas and went to the agency to make sure that things were in place. Some things that specifically happened this year. Staff attended multiple job fairs. There was strengthening community partnerships occurred. We refined our internal hiring process for greater efficiency and consistency. And so all of these things helped us expand our capacity to attract qualified candidates, and it helps us onboard these individuals moving forward. So really excited about that, and I'm proud of the team and proud to be with the group. Just about a year ago, I got the great news that I got to join Lane ESD, so a year has gone by quickly, and looking forward to seeing what happens next year.
What have you learned in the last year?
That'd be a long, but it's good to listen, it's good to ask questions.
That's a good thing, Maureen.
You don't always have to say, you don't always have to have an answer right now, it's always good to come back. So those are key takeaways for me so far. Lastly, I would like to personally take this moment to recognize and share some news about one of our valued HR staff members. Mr. Blake Melkenberg. And Blake, if you don't know him, he has served with us for at least the last 2 years as an HR specialist and a substitute coordinator, where he has played a major role in helping welcoming and deploying substitutes all across Lane County classrooms. So Blake has recently been accepted into a master's program, and he's going to school to become a special education teacher. So we're really excited for him on that. This summer he'll be working toward that, and hopefully a year from now we could get him back to our agency here. So I just hope we could just join me in this moment and give him positive thoughts to extend a heartfelt appreciation for his contributions to Lane ESD, and in wishing him all the best as he embarks on this exciting new chapter in the service of students. So excited to hear, and his family has worked for Lane ESD, and so it's really exciting. So. We'll definitely miss him, but we had a picture in our office if you ever looked. So, those are some staffing updates, and we just wanted to recognize the work, and the team has been fantastic, and really pleased to be here.
I think it shows that ESD is doing right. Yeah.
Thank you. I really appreciate hearing that, because I was Peace Health. We was doing strategy, retention, and recruiting, and we struggled with, recognizing people who would leave, and they had got a job and was going somewhere else, and they were asking the question, well, what should we do? What you just did, because they may come back. And if you don't show that appreciation that we have, they may not come back.
Right.
So I appreciate that.
Thank you. Lydia?
Business services have been busy as we approach the end of our fiscal year end and supporting a lot of our grant programs. There's a lot of those grants end on June 30th at the end of the biennium. We had interim audit field work a couple of weeks ago. So that's where our auditors come a little bit ahead of time, and they'll pull samples of transactions so they can get a lot of work done. And then they'll come back in the fall to do a final field work before they complete the full audit report. So everything there is going well. We've onboarded a new senior accounting specialist to replace a position that became vacant due to retirement. And that person's been doing a great job doing a lot of tracking and support for the nearly 60 different grants that we house, and also supporting a lot of the cash management functions that come along with that. So we made some good improvements there. So we're just looking forward to kind of a new fiscal year, applying our new budget and doing a lot of technical work, but we'll be spending some time this summer developing some new resources and supports for our departments when it comes to things like procurement and some other other tools that we can use to help them do their work. Brandon, will you cue up the presentation for me?
No.
It's 8 o'clock now.
I feel like our team shared a lot about what's going on in our department. But yeah, we're gearing up for summer camp right now. We didn't talk about it a lot during the presentation. But that's really where our focus is staffing and getting ready for the next school year.
Well, thank you for the program.
Thank you for your sense of humor.
And Nora had a report, I apologize again, it was supposed to be attached, she sent it in, plenty of time. I will forward you the report via email, so I apologize. I know, some of the things linked, so some of them made it.
I think we've got a valuation.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad that's behind me, don't forget about, hopefully forget about this by next year, sorry.
Yeah, that's right. So what's going on in Junction City?
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Well, thank you for coming.
It's been a busy spring in Junction City, but it was a short fall, some changes for staffing. So it's been a challenge. We failed a bond major for the second year in a row, and it was really ugly. We invested a lot of time and money for it. It's very clear that no one wants to take that any additional time. So we'll have to go back to the drawing board and figure out how we're going to move forward with them. Been the biggest piece. We are lucky to get summer school grant. It was a lot for programs.
Any big summer plans?
Keep the ship floating until August. Yeah. I do want to say thank you for Olivia for helping us out with the transition. It's challenging pieces out there. She's been really helpful, great resource. You know, it's not on the interview team for us with technical advice. We really appreciate that.
And I guess I'd add, which I always appreciate, I mean, we connect in a lot of ways with your district, but Katie, special ed director, is very much somebody that connects with us and tells us that we need to hear, and it's been a collaborator for us for quite a while now.
Very valued partner.
Really appreciate it.
She gives me a lot of feedback too.
Yes.
So Mike, what about those girls track and field?
For the first time ever, our girls is state championship.
Go, girl.
Hold on.
You got them out there, you just need good coaches. They out there in the world. They just need good coaches.
Is that your own team?
6 kids.
Yeah, 6 kids, and it was down to the last race.
Oh,
We had to get first, and one of the team had to be beat. I think they had to finish third, and with 10 yards to go, some young lady passed the one that we were worried about, so we ended up winning by 1 point. It was pretty fun.
Those girls must be very, talented. Only 6 could do that.
Yeah, they all scored. I can't tell you what the score is. I didn't get a chance to go, but it was pretty exciting with the way I got the reports and stuff. It was quite a thing. Like I said, it's our first time ever for girls championships, so.
isn't that a great experience for our kids to go to Hayward?
What's that?
A great experience for our kids to be able to do that on Hayward Field.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we have world athletes that do that.
Locally, easy to get there. I'm sure a lot of it, they had fire following, but, no, that was quite an event. The last school board meeting we had our leadership kids, they always come in and give a report on what's going on in the high school. And this time they interviewed 8 kids in the high school and did a video of it. And I always wondered how they, you didn't know quite a few of the kids, but you don't know how all the kids were doing in school. And these kids, one of them was classical dance, one of them was a snow skier, auto mechanic, and what's the other one? A news analyst. But it was really cool the way they did it because they interviewed these kids and then they showed videos of them doing their thing, skiing down the hill.
it was really cool how the snow skier was a young lady defining what fast is on a ski. You never catch me doing that. But it was
Break a leg.
something different, but it was really interesting to see those leadership kids do videos, and they were reasonable questions and stuff. And these kids were, the classical pianist was my favorite, because I love classical music, but there's a lot of talented kids in that school, as there is, I'm sure, in all the
Oh,
schools.
absolutely.
Sometimes you don't see or hear
Yeah.
what they're up to. The other thing that's been going on between balance in the budget and union negotiations, it's been an interesting spring. I think Mike's our superintendent's got a bald spot right here from scratching his head, but what they've done is they started 2 or 3 years ago with attrition and people, whenever people left the school, they tried to get by with not hiring anybody, get by with just as few people as they can. And because they knew there was a cliff coming. And so they've, so far as I know, we really haven't had to lay off anybody. And they're gonna try to make it, they're scheduling planning now next year what they're gonna have to do. And the union negotiation is going pretty well because the rep we've got is really a decent guy. And it's pretty open meeting back and forth and stuff, and it's going pretty good. So, but with this lack of kids and stuff coming in, it's going to hurt a lot of schools. And they started several years ago trying to get ready for it. It's, I mean, they're going to weather the storm, I think, pretty well, but we're going to get probably a fighting notes or two just because of the way it's going. But other than that, that's all I've got.
Well, thank you, Mike. You've been doing this a long time and you support us so much, and we really do appreciate that.
Oh, thank you.
Since we're neighbors. So does any of the board members, would they like to say anything to our departing board?
Well, I just wanted to talk a little bit about going to the third Thursday at Bethel, Calapooya High School. And they have a garden and they have greenhouses and the kids are making pizza and salads and they've really given children who might not fit in so well in school other things to do. And they're really, it was really fun and being there, and there was a very mixed group of kids, and it was nice seeing them happy and busy and doing good things. So I really have appreciated getting connected to Bethel School District and think, oh, my kids should have gone there. Well, maybe it wasn't like that when my kids went to school, which was a very long time ago. But I really appreciate the Bethel, the experience of getting to know that place better.
Well, again, we do appreciate your service.
Yeah,
Thank you.
really,
To the kids of
I'd
Lynn
like to
County.
go onto their board. And
She did not. She said, do you know anybody in this area who would like to be on the Bethel, on the Lane Education Services? She said, oh, that sounds like a good idea. I'll look into that.
Thank you.
So I don't know whether my,
When you left, I remembered, again. was
yeah,
on
I'm
the-
just gonna say, that
Sorry.
the reason I'm gonna actually mention it is because we're having, Lawrence Organizes, which I'm one of the main leaders, is hosting a community celebration, Juneteenth, so. And see, I do need to get driving home. And our keynote speaker is Linda Hill.
They made a mistake.
And one of our student speakers is from Mapleton, and he's on the Lane ESD Youth Voice.
Nice job.
What's up?
Juneteenth.
For where? For Florence?
In Florence.
Oh.
Yeah.
And we have lots of cupcakes left,
Yeah,
so
we're actually doing.
for takeout.
You can come.
Well, I'm going camping.
So thank you, Cindy.
It's been a good.
Well, I do want to, again, thank our hosts for having us here. Thank you so much for having us here. Do you have anything to add? You put on a great program.
I think